The Nikolov brothers could team up at Lube Civitanova. Dmitriy Volkov might end up in Perugia, Takahashi is on the radar of the Polish champions, and Yuki Ishikawa could be heading back to Milan. All this and more in the final volleyball news roundup of 2025. And a quick reminder about my VK community, where you can watch matches from top leagues not only on replay but also live. Join via the QR code on screen or the link in the description. Perugia are seriously pushing to sign Dmitriy Volkov. Inside the club, they believe he could form the perfect outside hitter duo together with Kamil Semeniuk. All these rumors are tied to the information that Oleg Plotnytskyi is set to leave the Italian powerhouse, as he has already received offers from several Polish clubs. The Ukrainian outside hasn't been short on Italian options either. Right now, Modena's management are interested in his services, and despite a solid season from Paul Bukager, they're also very keen on signing the young Slovenian Nik Mujanovic. With Reger's move to Perugia basically a done deal, the Belgian plans to sign a long-term contract. More and more rumors are swirling around the future of Wasim Ben Tara. Most realistic options at the moment looks like a move to the Polish club Project Warszawa. Using the money from Reger's sale, Milan are planning to bring Yuki Ishikawa back into the squad. The Japanese outside has fallen out of Angelo Lorenzetti's regular rotation, so a return to the club where he once wore the captain's armband looks very promising. Milan are also continuing their trend of bringing in Japanese outside hitters. This time, the Italian club has signed 205 cm tall player of Iranian descent, Karen Masajedi. He hasn't played at the pro level yet, but he did make a name for himself at the U19 World Championship. What do you think? Can this 18-year-old Japanese prospect make it in Italy? Semyon Nikolov could also be Italy-bound. He's hinted more than once at a possible reunion with his brother Alex. Among the potential options are Lube Civitanova and Zenit St. Petersburg. Where do you think the setter will spend next season? Unlike Eric Shoji, Micah Ma decided not to stick around at Fakel. The American is heading back to Turkey, where he'll play for Galatasaray next season. Previously, he played for Halkbank, winning the Turkish Championship and 2 Turkish Cups. Yuri Romano is also unlikely to stay at Fakel. The Italian opposite is being courted by Lube Civitanova and Milan, while several Russian clubs are also showing interest, offering contracts with a salary around 600,000 euros per season. Viktor Poletaev, on the other hand, is definitely done playing in Russia. By mutual agreement, the opposite terminated his contract with Zenit and may continue his career in Qatar. Vladislav Daviskiba is very likely to play in Russia next season. The most obvious destination for the Belarusian outside hitter looks to be Zenit Kazan. Reports have emerged that Sunbirds and Japan national team libero Tomohiro Ogawa could move to Poland's Lublin next season. The Japanese defender already tried to make it to Plus Liga last year, but the club he was supposed to join ended up getting relegated from Poland's top division. Meanwhile, the reigning Polish champions are still holding out hope of signing Ran Takahashi, who they've been monitoring for a long time. And with the Japanese outside planning to change leagues, this might be the perfect time to make that move happen. Numeri Kita commented on rumors about a potential citizenship change and playing for the Italian national team. On social media, Keita explained that he has never played an official match for Mali, not even at youth level. He was only part of the senior national team during unofficial competitions, so there should be no issues with changing nationality. Italy have banned fake poses before serving. It's now considered unsportsmanlike conduct. The first violation results in a verbal warning through the captain, with no point awarded to the opponent. A second violation is ruled unsportsmanlike behavior and punished with a yellow card. There were no international tournaments this week, so let's jump straight into the domestic leagues. We'll start with the Russian Super Cup, which took place on December 25th to 26th in St. Petersburg and delivered some very entertaining results. Somewhat unexpectedly, Lokomotiv, without Sam Deru, managed to beat Dynamo Moscow in the first semi-final, the same Dynamo that had recently demolished Belogori. After dropping the first set, the Novosibirsk side found their rhythm, and Ilya Kazachenkov delivered one of his best performances for Lokomotiv in recent memory, helping his team reach the final. The All-Zenit showdown in the second semi-final was extremely intriguing, with Zenit Kazan confidently taking control in the first 2 sets and completely neutralizing Vladislav Babkevich. Later on, the hosts tried to bounce back in front of their home crowd and even pushed the match to a tiebreak, but the Kazan side regrouped and secured their ticket to the final. The final itself followed a similar script. Zenit Kazan dominated the first two sets, while Lokomotiv pulled off a heroic comeback in the third, even though Kazan were just 2 points away from the trophy. Still, that missed finish didn't break Alexei Verbov's team. They avoided another tiebreak scenario, closed the match in 4 sets and claimed their 11th Super Cup title. The tournament's dream team was as follows: setter, Abaev, opposite, Mikhailov, middle blockers, Kononov and Lisik, outside hitters, Volkov and Kurbanov. Libero Grebenikov. Dmitry Volkov was named the MVP of the tournament. Without even catching their breath, Lokomotiv traveled to Yaroslavl, arriving on game day. But that didn't stop them from securing a confident 4-set win. And while Moninik Olov still hasn't brought me my sneakers, he did gift his game shoes to the fans in Yaroslavl. Gorky had a similar road trip to Surgut, though their delay wasn't due to the Super Cup but bad weather, which meant they also arrived only on match day. Even so, those challenges didn't prevent them from beating their table neighbors Gazprom Yugra and picking up their 3rd straight win. Another matchup worth mentioning was Orenburg versus Dynamo LO, where the visitors once again delivered a 5-set thriller. This time they nearly blew a 2-set lead, but managed to regroup in the tiebreak and snatch the win. The results of the final round of the Russian Championship are already on your screens. Previously, Zenit Kazan were ahead thanks to extra matches played, but now they sit on top of the table with a game in hands, though they still have Dynamo Moscow coming up. Let's see how the standings change after that clash. As we've noted more than once, Italy's regular season doesn't offer that many blockbuster games. There are simply too many predictable results, so there isn't much to break down. One exception was Lube Civitanova versus Piacenza, where the home side won in 4 sets and strengthened their position in the standings. For now, let's take a look at the results from round 13 of the Italian Superlega, then check the table and move on to the Italian Cup. The familiar 3-way tie remains: Trentino, Perugia and Verona. The race for the Scudetto promises to be intense and exciting. Modena, meanwhile, have climbed to 4th place after a 4-game winning streak. However, they didn't make it into the Italian Cup top 4 this season. Piacenza, after a rough stretch in the league, looked extremely confident and broke their opponent's resistance. In the quarterfinals, they gave Modena no real chances, conceding only the 3rd set. Piacenza are back in the final 4. Waiting for them will be Trentino, who the day before absolutely destroyed Monza, never allowing them to reach the 20-point mark in a single set. There was no real drama either in Verona versus Milan, with only the final stages of the 3rd set offering some tension. Ferrereggers even spent time playing as an outside hitter, but that didn't help. Keita and Darlan bulldozed their way into the semifinals. The same could be said about Perugia's performance, as they came out on top in a spectacular battle against Lube Civitanova. Crazy attacking efficiency from Wasim Bentara and Kamil Semeniuk, combined with Oleg Plotnytsky's powerful serving run, left their opponents with no hope of defending the title. Lube exit at the quarterfinal stage, and now we're in for a wild Verona versus Perugia semifinal on February 7th, along with Trentino versus Piacenza. Drop your favorites in the comments. In Plus Liga, only 2 matches were played last week. The headline clash was the showdown between league leaders Lublin and Project Warsaw. Even though the match ended in a straight sets win for the reigning champions, it was still a fiery battle, somewhat overshadowed by an illness outbreak that prevented both teams from fielding full-strength lineups. In the second match, Com were desperate to spoil Olsztyn's party. They comfortably took the first 2 sets and even had 2 consecutive match points in the 3rd. But the visitors refused to quit, first turning the 3rd set ending around, then taking the next 2 sets to complete a brilliant comeback. That's what the Plus Liga standings look like at the end of 2025. I'm still amazed by just how tight the table is. Poland also hosted the National Cup quarterfinals, which traditionally included 2 teams from lower divisions. As expected, neither Bielsko-Biała nor Stal managed to pull off an upset, losing to Olsztyn and Lublin respectively. Those 2 will now meet in the semifinals. There was no fierce battle either in Project Warsaw versus Skra, where the capital club stayed in full control and wrapped things up in 3 sets. The final quarterfinal also ended in 3 sets, with Zaksa facing Resovia. But this one was insanely dramatic, with every set going down to nerve-wracking endings. In the clutch moments, Resovia proved stronger, and they'll face Project Warsaw in the semifinals on January 10th. The Japanese league returned after the Emperor's Cup break, immediately treating us to a clash of leaders, Sunbirds versus Bluteon. It's worth remembering that the visitors had just returned from the Club World Championship, where they reached the final, so they were clearly running low on energy. The reigning champions took full advantage, conceding just 1 set across both matches. The series between Warriors and Arrows was far more thrilling, with both matches going the distance and ending in 5 sets. One thing worth highlighting: in the loss, Arrows opposite Kirill Klets scored a massive 47 points. Even that insane performance from the Russian wasn't enough to secure 2 wins over the weekend. All match results are already on your screens. Sunbirds now sit alone at the top of the table, while Wolfdogs and Stings are breathing down Bluteon's neck, and they'll face the latter in the very next round. Traditionally, we wrap up our volleyball journey in Turkey, where round 13 of the regular season has just concluded. The marquee matchup of the round was Halkbank versus Istanbul, where the hosts eventually broke their rivals' resistance in 5 sets in a crucial battle for a top 4 spot. Altekma and Alanya are also fighting for a playoff place in the lower half of the table, and once again the home team came out on top, again in 5 sets, which lifted them up to 8th place. You can find all the results from round 13 of the Turkish FLR League on your screens. And this is how the standings look not only at the end of the calendar year, but also after the first half of the regular season. A huge thank you to everyone who watched this final volleyball news episode. Thanks for supporting what I do. Your feedback really means a lot to me, even if there aren't many chances for constant interaction right now. And as always in 2025, this was Nick with you. Love what you do, and success will follow. See you soon. Bye.